Hello, my name's Revenge, and today I'm going to be responding to feedback that I was given on my Halo Infinite ReSound videos. But first, a little update on Misfit, who actually commented on my video. Seeing as I debunked his notion that I hate Halo Infinite sound design because it's quote-unquote realistic, he decided to go with this narrative. The main reason the gun audio is toned down is to make the shield regen, pickup noises, and kill audio pop more. Since when the fuck was this ever a problem in Halo games? One thing that I can definitely give both 343 and Bungie credit for is that their mixing for sounds for critical elements such as UI was always spot on. Personally, I have never had a problem hearing my shield regen or the pickups or anything like that. But for the sake of argument, let's say we really need to have these elements pop out more. What if I told you there's a very novel way of making these sounds pop more without sacrificing the uniqueness and punchiness and texture of a gun sound? Let me explain. Okay, so I have FL Studio open here, and as you can see, I have a bunch of random fucking noise right here. A bunch of gun sounds going off like it's a real battle. And up at the top here, we have our shield sounds. This is critical information that the player needs to know. Because, of course, it's the shields. The player needs to know this in order to get back into combat, or if he needs to continue hiding. And now, we have all this interfering with our ability to hear this. Now, how do we remedy this? It's actually simple. Here, we go into our filters and get an equalizer. An equalizer can adjust volumes on an individual frequency basis. First, here's the shield warning. Now, as you can see, for the shield regen sounds, there are several frequencies that stick out, particularly in the mid to high band. And seeing as primarily all these sounds are in the low to mid range, we want to have this stick out more in the high end, like so. Now, we can either give this a boost in the high end or suppress the high end on these guns. But for convenience sake, I'm just going to give it a boost in the high end. Now, let's give it a listen. Already that stands out a lot more. And now let's do the same for the shield regen, because that's also critical information. And as you can see, we were able to make these critical UI elements stand out in the mix without having to sacrifice beef or chunk in our gun firing sounds. And it was literally as simple as the tweak of a few knobs. And even without this particular technique, coders can automate volume to make certain things stick out in the mix more. As a matter of fact, 343 has gone on record to say that they will have a system similar to this in Halo Infinite. When a player poses a threat to you directly, that player's sounds will be prioritized in the mix over other sounds in the battlefield. And this technique ain't exactly new. Overwatch was actually one of the first games to do this sort of technique. Let's say one of the sniper classes took aim at you. you would hear their sounds above all else because they pose a direct threat to you. And if 343 can do that with just player sounds, surely they can do that with the UI sounds, all whilst not making their gun sounds shit. But enough responding to I'm Alex 2 Electric Boogaloo. Time to address criticisms from people whose opinions actually matter. One common criticism of the gun sounds that I made during these Halo Infinite ReSounds is that the tail was either too loud, too strong, or too long. And I wholeheartedly agree with this. I just went a little overboard. Who am I kidding? It was way overboard. The mindset I had was you're in an outdoor shooting range near a mountainous area, so the tail's gotta be long and strong and all that good shit. In hindsight, though, it did make the guns sound a little too strong compared to what they actually were. And so I did a redo of some of the weapons, particularly the Bulldog and the Sidekick. I actually liked the Assault Rifle and Battle Rifle too much to do any redos on them. And the Sniper Rifle was more of an experiment than anything else, because I had the Halo Infinite Sniper Rifle files in my hard drive. Plus, I wanted to see what that sounded like with the classic sound. So I thought, you know what, fuck it. Some people liked it, some people hated it, a lot of people collectively agreed that the ping was too much, and I'm inclined to agree with them. Like, sure, it sounded nice putting reverb on the casing eject, but in hindsight, it just makes the sound way too piercing and grating. But without further ado, here are my redos of the Sidekick and Bulldog. It may need some additional layering, but as it stands right now, I think it's pretty good. Now moving on to the Bulldog. This one received basically an entire overhaul. I went with something a little less powerful because the start of it robbed the sound of any attack that the initial hit had. And it just ended up being so busy. Because that's what happens when you're a sound designer that's in tryhard mode. And judging from the reactions of those who criticized it initially, I think I did a pretty good job. Oh, and the sound supplying most of the bass is the same desk slam sound that I made in the first video. Funny how things work out, huh? But that about wraps up my video. If you liked it, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, join the Discord server so you never miss a video. This is Revenge, and I hope to hear from you soon.